Robin.
You're listening to Opie and Anthony. On the virus. Sirius-XM.
Those are the things. I get the little crazy nuances about these people. To me, that's how, like, Carvey was always amazing about finding the one little fucked up thing with the George Sr. not gonna do it. You know, that little screwed up little
and
key.
it didn't have to, the voice didn't have to be the voice. It was just that little idiosyncracy. That
I remember being on the phone with him when he was doing the show, and he said, I got to do Ross Perot this Saturday. And I said, what? What are you going to fucking do? He said, I don't know. They gave me some tapes of him on Larry King I'm supposed to watch. You know, no one had ever tried to do Ross at that point. And he said, I'm going to watch these tapes. So we're talking on the phone, and by the end of the call, we both have an amazing Ross Perot impression. And I said, this is fucked. You're going to become famous for doing Ross Perot on Saturday, and I'm just a dickwad doing your act. You know what I mean? That's the screwy thing about doing those voices.
What's the best impression of any, like, what is your favorite impression of anybody?
To hear someone else do?
Yeah, that somebody does. I think mine might be...
And the best one he enjoys doing.
My favorite one to hear might be Jay doing Colin, because it's such a weird one, and I know Colin so well.
That's extraordinary.
That's an odd one to do.
That's a flawless, creepy.
Or Keitel,
When he put Colin Quinn in Reservoir Dogs, that was just fucking brilliant.
But his thinking changes when he does Colin. Like, he starts to think like Colin.
That is the screwy thing. If you go Deep Space Nine with these, when I do Albert Brooks, I think faster and funnier than I do as myself. It's true. There's a possession weird thing that actually happens.
Live like him.
Is it me? Am I crazy? I'm going to go lie down. Here's the thing. Oh, my God. Nemo, I got to stop saying it. But I would say, his Colin Quinn is sick, crazy, ridiculous, and it is one of those ones that it gets creepy funny.
Yeah.
And then Dave Coulier's Pesci is fucking ridiculous.
Really?
And his Super Dave Osborne is sick, ridiculous.
It's hard to find people that do a good Pesci. Like, you see a lot of the over-the-top ones that you see all stutter and prick 50 times, but you find a guy who really captures them.
And prick,
You're like, I want to hear JFK Pesci. That's who I want to fucking hear. That's who I want to hear.
That's the creepy.
Describe your neck in the wig. Go.
Growing up, were you kind of a minor bird watching television all the time and doing imitations?
Like the first one, I think whenever Columbo was first on, you know, I would just try to make my mom laugh by crossing my eyes and saying, I'm sorry, am I bothering you? What's the problem? And then I did that on Carson, and I ran into Peter Falk like at a grocery store in L.A., and he said, how do you do that with your eyes? Me, I understand, but how do you do that? Plays great on radio. I'm moving the one eye. But I taught Carson to do my next time on. I taught him how to cross just one eye, you know, because he was kind of fascinated by it. And they said in the pre-interview, they said, "Can you teach Johnny how to do the eye?" I said, "Yeah, shut up." So, but then how about this? This is what really, to me, typifies why Carson can never be replaced and why.
You're talking about Carson Daly, right?
I am indeed. Please, I thought that was fairly obvious.
And you mentioned talk show host,
legendary Carson Daly.
Can't be replaced. You think of Carson Daly for sure. So that's hilarious. So I taught him to do the Columbo thing, right? And then whenever he brought me on to do the show, probably another 20 times before he retired. Jeez,
how many Johnnies did you do? Not to interrupt your story.
A couple dozen.
Fuck, man.
You know, well, because he liked impressions.
Wow.
He liked impressions. He did them himself, and it was like a parlor trick kind of thing to him.
Yeah.
And so he would introduce the guests. Right, they'd come out from his left, and you would pass in front of his desk, and for a second you'd have your back to the audience while he stood at his desk. Unlike Leno, who dances out behind the desk, "Hey, how's it going?" and hug you bullshit. The king would stay at his throne, you know, and you would pass in front of him and lean over sometimes and shake his hand on your way to the seat on his right. And so in that little 3-second moment where your back is to the audience, I'm saying every time I did the show, after that first time I taught him how to do the eye, he would lean over the desk, cross his eyes, and say, "I'm sorry to bother you." And it took me years to realize what he was doing in that moment was making me feel like $1 million as I'm sitting down in arguably the most nerve-wracking situation of the year.
Oh, shit.
How fucking genius is that, though?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Did you finally just go, all right, I get it, you can do the...
Towards the end, they said, you've got to bust Johnny's chops a little, because you've been on enough now you're comfortable, he's comfortable, you got to do Carson for Carson. And I said, you can go fuck yourself. That is never going to happen, ever.
That would have to be a tense moment.
There's a little too much reverence there.
Yeah.
You know what his genius was, Carson? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but before Carson was that you never realized that he had been pre-informed. Like, because he would say something like, I understand you were in Aruba. And I never once thought, how the fuck would he know that? That fucking set up for a stupid story that they did through a phone fucking pre-interview. Never once did I understand that that's what had happened. That's how great he was at that.
He would often, now somebody told me, he would often say that. and that was the only time I fucked with him, was one time on the show. He said, now somebody told me. And I said, who told you? Never mind. I did have that moment. I did get that moment.
That was a perfect head movement. Never mind. That was exactly a great Johnny head movement.
Yeah, never mind who said.
He did have that head.
Yeah.
It is all, and the only experience I ever had like that was that time with Dice.
Yeah.
When we first met Dice, and I had done a Dice impression for years.
Nice.
And he actually...
Well, that's why he was on the show, because he heard how great Ant's Dice was.
Right.
That's how we connected.
He actually started... I was getting on him, Hey, jerk-off face, I don't need this garbage from you. And he sat there, and he goes... He actually said to me, he goes, I'm not going to argue with me. That's fantastic, having Dice say that to you.
That is
I'm not going to argue with me.
He also said, you do me better than me. Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah, you do me better than I do me.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
You do. I mean, you get the certain rhythms, and it becomes like, because the person, sometimes they'll drift away from the core.
Yeah.
And the impression is just the core.
You'll have to, it's almost like you kind of got to make a face and body movements to actually get it down. And sometimes I picked up an impression by not ripping somebody off, but you can listen to the actual person and not be able to get it.
Yeah.
And then if you see someone else do an impression for a second, you're like, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing,
Yeah, you learned. We're totally geeking out on impressions. This is awesome.
What's the one you're most proud of that you're like, not necessarily has to be your best, but the one you're like, I picked out this trait that I'm so happy I
that no one else
like,
did.
Is there a trait you picked out of somebody that...
The only one I do, I think, that I've never heard anyone else do is Alan Arkin. And so that's the sort of offbeat, weird one that people are like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Does that work in Kansas City when you do Alan Arkin?
Well, you were the first one.
Exactly.
I want to hear Alan Arkin.
Ellen Barkin?
I don't understand. There's royal people, and they're waiting. She's got flowers. Who is this girl?
It's so
By the way, I don't understand the uniform. Has he ever held a gun in his life? Why is he dressed up like a general? This is very strange to me.
That's awesome.
This kid from...
Wow.
Oh, that's great.
Shit. Absolutely.
Well, I never heard
a little nuance.
I never heard anybody though do Shatner. Like everyone now does your version of Shatner.
Well,
with the overpronounced dramatic pauses and the throwing himself into.
First of all, can you believe he turned 81?
I know. Wow. When you see him, he looks great.
I mean, we should all be kicking life in the sack that hard at 81.
Yeah.
It's truly unbelievable. I mean, he's blown up like a poisoned dog. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
but by the way, if you can't eat carbs when you're 80, fuck life. You know what I'm saying?
You might as well.
When I get to, if I get to 81, I'm going to I'll have the pie. I'll have the pie and a glass of pie.
Of course. Jimmy does a great, another great impression. You want to do your Alan Alda for Kevin Pollak?
I don't want to
put you on the spot.
Two masters going back and forth.
Amy, could you talk Jimmy into a minute?
I love a good Alan Alda.
All right.
Loves Alan Alda.
This is amazing. Close your eyes.
It's short.
All right. Yes. That's my whole... No, come on.
All right, Jimmy.
He was in the room.
That's why you got the big show in Seattle.
That was more Woody Allen-ish.
He was in the room.
That was great.
Antisocial Seattle, let's not forget.
Oh, yeah, tickets on sale today, by the way, at 10 o'clock Seattle time for myself, Brewer, Attell, and Bill Burr, July the 1st. That will sell out because BJ Shea is promoting it. And Kevin also, by the way, if you're in New York, is going to be at Caroline's tonight and tomorrow, 2 shows each night. 212-757-4100. Kevin is great, man. Really, really funny dude.
Oh, thanks, man.
And it's funny. I knew you as an... I mean, we haven't never met before, but I knew knew who you were as an actor before I even knew you were a comic many, many years ago, which is a real sign of respect. Like, Rod Reyes is his brother was Rick Aviles, who was in Ghost.
Oh yeah,
and died of died of AIDS, and he was a drug user, and he I don't know why I had to throw that in.
Yeah, nice, happy
just to
story.
prove that I knew something about him. But he was a comic, and I didn't even know he was a comic. And he's like, man, that would have made Rick so happy that somebody thought he was an actor before a comic.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I said, all right, we're done talking.
Good timing.
It
on your part.
it is kind of weird and great and amazing, and yet I definitely think of myself as a comic first, without question. I still feel like a poser when I'm on a set of a movie. I really do.
You feel like I shouldn't be here.
I'm not kidding. It's not humble pie bullshit. I keep waiting the first 2 weeks for somebody to tap me on the shoulder and say, we've made a horrible error. Yeah, we're on to you. You really don't know what you're doing.
The good thing is, though, when I watch your movies, I don't think like, oh, there's Kevin Pollak, the comic, impressionist, because you really do pull it off. I don't know how you bullshit these people.
I don't
you do pull it off.
I mean,
it's amazing.
You know how it is for some comedians. I think you're more comfortable on stage than we are in life. There's that certain, because you're in control or whatever the fuck it is. I don't know. But there's something about being comfortable in front of an audience. And that's all it was. When I got on set to do the first movie, I was just comfortable in front of the camera. Nothing really about that bothered me or tripped me out or anything. So that was it. And then on A Few Good Men, there was a great character actor who passed away, J.T. Walsh.
Oh, fuck,
man.
Fucking genius, right?
He was great.
And so he sees me doing the thing, and he starts telling me, you're doing good work. And I said, I swear, I'm like confessional now. I said, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, honestly. This is like number 8 for me, and I don't know there's going to be a number 9. And he said, no, what you're doing is actually a technique called less is more. You're just kind of throwing it away, that's the best stuff. When you never get caught acting.
That's what we do every day on this show.
Right?
Yeah.
Less is a lot more. Yes.
Every day.
Phone that fucker right in.
But it's it's you get out of your own way kind of bullshit. That's all. I don't know if you ever played golf or anything. It's like the harder you try, the worse you fucking are. It's the same thing.
When you finally decide after the first hole to say fuck it.
Yes. I'll have a beer instead.
Son of a bitch, I suck at this game.
Yeah.
Gregorio!
Antonio!
Amy.
The Virus. Sirius-XM. This is the Opie and Anthony Show.